Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Healthy Moving Podcast, the show that empowers you to exercise less, but move more so you will feel better. I am your healthy moving enthusiast, Jen Hoffman from healthymoving.com. If I ask you how your health is, you might say, fine. If I dig a little deeper, you might say, well, I have all the normal issues that come after childbirth or that come with age. You'll use the word normal because you aren't alone. Loads of women have pelvic floor or core dysfunction after giving birth, and many adults begin to have aches and pains as the years go by. It's normal, right? Maybe not. That's what today's show is all about. Plus, I have another community insight segment for you. Allie is a distance runner here to share her favorite healthy moving tip for dealing with calf cramps. As a bonus, it's also helped her back and balance too. Everyone needs more calf stretching in their life, so don't miss Allie's segment. Like many new moms, I read quite a few parenting books after my oldest was born. I got a little overwhelmed, and so I don't read as many anymore, but there is one series of books on child development that I turn to every year. Louise Bates Ames wrote these books, and they're titled Your 2-Year-Old or Your 1-Year-Old, and she goes all the way up. I think in the early teen years, she kind of groups some years together. But what I love about these books is her focus is on what's age appropriate. When I read them, it's like empowering and liberating to read that, for example, big emotional swings are a perfectly normal part of being 3 years old. So I don't have to worry that something's really wrong with my child when he or she is melting down at age 3 and then completely laughing about something else 2 minutes later. When I read that, I just accept a particular behavior as normal, and that helps take a load off. Sure, I might still have to set up and maintain some boundaries around the behavior, but I do so from a much calmer place. When things are hard and difficult, I absolutely understand the desire to normalize what's happening. And that's what so many people I work with are doing with their health. They look around and notice how common their particular struggle is. Maybe it's something like stress incontinence after childbirth or knee or back pain as you age, whatever. But they look around and they say, hey, this is just what happens. There's nothing I can do about it. So they start to look for ways to just live with the problem. They set up their life to make space for it because they don't have hope for change. Maybe they buy underwear designed to help with bladder leaking, or they take an elevator instead of the stairs because their knees hurt when they do the stairs. All these little compensations for problems with our health that we accept as normal. Friends, so many of the things we call normal are not normal. They're not natural. They're common. Natural means functioning as designed, part of the standard operating procedures. Usually when something is natural, we can see a purpose, a brilliance in the design. Common, on the other hand, means it happens to a lot of people. Is pelvic floor or core dysfunction common after pregnancy? Absolutely. Is it normal, natural? No, you don't have to accept it as how it is. There is hope for change. There is possibility for improvement. Is back or knee pain, joint issues, arthritis, are they all common as you age? Absolutely they are. But are they normal? No. You don't have to accept them as how it is either. There is hope for change. There is hope for improvement. Many of these common, but not normal, not natural, health conditions are a function of the fact that many of us, most of us, are not moving our bodies nearly enough. Specifically, we have large parts of our bodies, both big muscles and even small, tiny ones, that aren't getting movement, that aren't being fed the movement nutrients they desperately need for health and wellness. And this mindset of, it's normal, it's making the problem worse. It's conditioning our minds in a way that impacts our behavior. In her book, Counterclockwise, Mindful Health and the Power of Possibility, Harvard psychologist Ellen Langer talks about a study she conducted in the late 1970s. Professor Langer recruited a group of elderly men who were all in their 70s and 80s, and she told them they were coming together for a week of reminiscence. She didn't tell them they were taking part in a study on aging. The men were split into two groups. They both spent a week at a retreat outside of Boston. The first group, they spent their week reminiscing about what life was like in the 1950s. The second group, on the other hand, they were immersed in the 50s. They were surrounded by props from the 1950s. They were asked to act as if it was actually 1959. So they spent their week watching films and listening to music and talking like they were really in the 1950s. Professor Langer took physiological measurements both before and after the week and found the men improved across the board. Their gait, dexterity, arthritis, speed of movement, cognitive abilities, their memory, all measurably improved. Their blood pressure dropped, and even more surprisingly, their eyesight and their hearing even improved. Both groups showed improvements, but the men in that kind of really immersed in the culture group, they improved the most. Professor Langer believes that by encouraging the men's minds to think younger, their bodies followed and actually became younger. Her work shows that positive thinking leads to positive actions, and many of those positive actions can dramatically improve our health. Appreciating and accepting the difference between common and normal opens the door for the kind of positive thinking that we need for change and growth. Our bodies don't fall apart because we age or because we have babies. You have so much power to shape your body and your health, so much more than you realize, regardless of how many candles are on your birthday cake or how many kids are singing to you on those birthdays. What have you resigned yourself to health-wise? This week, I'm inviting you to make space for the hope and awareness that change is possible. Of course, as always, if you'd like my help in beginning to unpack some steps that you can take to take care of your body and feed all of it the movement nutrients that it needs for health and wellness, then get yourself registered for my free no-time exercise solution class. I would love to share my 4-step system with you. You can register at healthymoving.com/free class or by texting NOTIME, that's NOTIME, all one word, to 33444. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment with our Community Insight segment. I am so excited to have one of my coaching and challenge program members, Allie from San Antonio, Texas, on the show today. This woman is amazing. She's a distance runner, and it has been my absolute joy to encourage her on that journey, both with stretches and exercises to help keep her in top running form, but also with high fives along the race route when she comes to Disney for races. Thank you so much for joining me, Allie.
It's my pleasure.
So I would love for you to share with the listeners what one of your favorite healthy moving exercises is.
I really like the calf stretch because during my training, I was having a lot of tightness and cramping in both calves. And as I started to work the calf stretch and start to deepen it slowly, it made the pain go away. And I certainly noticed an improvement in my running performance. But the unexpected benefits were it helped with my balance and also with my back fatigue. I don't know if it was just the change of position or the remind myself to continue weaving that into my day, but it definitely made an impact on that.
That makes perfect sense, because that chain of tension that we have at the back of the leg, like starting at the calf and then oftentimes it goes up to the hamstrings, like that puts this pull on the pelvis, like an actual physical pull on the pelvis that can cause that back strain and discomfort in the back. So beginning to free that up, it makes total sense to me that that helps your back. And I always tell everybody, anybody who's been listening for a while knows, pretty much whatever ails you, Jen's going to tell you to do a calf stretch. So I'm so excited that you've found it to be so helpful. Let me describe for everybody how to do it, and then we'll circle back to you tell us where you weave it in your life. So the basics of this one are that you want something that you can elevate your foot on. So some kind of a roll. And you're going to put the ball of your foot on the roll and the heel off so that the ball of your foot is elevated. And then you want to come to have that leg that's on the roll be vertical. So oftentimes people will have their pelvis either behind the line of their heel or way in front of it. So you want to back up so that your pelvis, knee, and heel are all in a straight line. And then the opposite foot can be part of the stretch. It can be It kind of controls how deeply you come into it. It can either be beside the roll or even a little bit behind it. Or if you can keep the stretching leg vertical, you can step the foot in front of the roll, kind of beside it and in front. And that's your control. When Allie first came to me and was talking to me about the calf cramping, I gave her a couple of variations, which are that after you've done it with a straight leg, then you can take a little tiny bend to the knee to go from the gastroc down deeper into the calf, into the soleus muscle. And then the other variation, I can't remember if I gave this one to you yet, Allie, or not, but if I haven't, you can definitely play with it, is to just rock your hips slightly from side to side while your foot is on the roll, because that change in weight distribution from your pelvis, from left to right, will target different parts of the calf muscle and where you're holding your tension. So you can kind of find I call them your sticky spots, and you can pause there somewhere along that continuum of left to right with the pelvis to really get a nice, well-rounded stretch for the calves there. So where do you like to do it, Allie? Where do you like to fit the calf stretch into your day?
Well, I do it pretty much anywhere that I'm in one place for a significant amount of time. So when I'm at work, I actually do it anytime I'm on the phone. I stand up and I have one of those really lovely rolling desk chairs, but the base of the chair is exactly the right height for me to put my foot on and use it to stretch.
Oh, I love that.
I've done it in line at the grocery store because you can kind of do it with the bottom of the shopping cart too.
Absolutely. And I use the shopping cart wheel all the time for it.
Yes.
I love that idea of just figuring out, like, kind of look around you and see, hey, what could I put my foot up in? It doesn't have to be the same. And you know what? It also gives us a variety and stretch when we put our foot on different surfaces. So if you always do it with a pool noodle, or you always do it with a blanket roll or a rolled up yoga mat or even a half dome, you always get the exact same stretch. But when you kind of hack it in your life and find whatever it is you can around you, you also get nice variety there. So that's really good. So, Allie, I would love to just hear before I let you go, kind of what has it been like for you to really weave movement into your day? What have you found to be the most beneficial aspects of doing that?
Well, I started because I wanted to reduce my pain, and the strange side effect that I've had is that I've reduced my emotional pain. As I've sort of tied into what my body is doing and feeling, it's helped me learn to love myself without any sort of external validation, because I think we're programmed to believe that what other people think of us should shape how we feel about ourselves. And really, I think it's the other way around. When we're in tune with who we are and what our body is doing, we're able to show our true selves to the world, and we don't care what other people think.
Absolutely. And it helps us to love ourselves and to love other people. I'm so, I get chills just hearing that's what this work has meant to you, because it has been the same for me. And I love seeing that happen for other people, because I really believe if we all just loved ourselves and really felt comfortable in our own skin, that the world would be a lot better place. It would be so much easier for us to bring our most authentic self to the world, because we're not trying so hard to meet somebody else's expectations.
Well, it's expectations of something that doesn't really exist.
Exactly. I love that.
Those images are highly processed.
They certainly, absolutely are. Thank you so much, Allie. I appreciate you. I know that Allie and her husband have a business, so I know there's some people even in our coaching program who are in San Antonio, but for any other listeners in San Antonio, you want to give a little plug to Chad Miller Auto Care?
Sure. We're located at 6011 De Zavala, 78249, or online at cmautocare.com.
They are amazing. Allie and her husband are like bringing back actually caring for customers as they take care of their cars. So I highly recommend to any of our San Antonio listeners to check out Chad Miller Auto Care. Allie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Back at you.
Okay, friends, that's all for today. I'll have links for the books that I talked about in today's episode over in the show notes for show number 42 at healthymovingpodcast.com. I would be so grateful if you'd help get word out about the Healthy Moving Revolution. How can you do that? Well, first of all, you can subscribe, rate, and review the podcast over in iTunes. That helps others to find it. You can also help by sharing the link to your favorite episode with your peeps. You can get those links at healthymovingpodcast.com. Thanks for doing that and for listening. Until next time, friends, keep moving.